We're all pretending like we know what we're doing.
Technical.
Are we rolling now?
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, well, let me know if I'm too quiet or pointing the microphone at the wrong direction. I'm too quiet and I mumble a lot.
I mumble quite a bit too, actually.
Yeah, so like someone's microphone can be like 10% like quieter and ours can be 10% up.
That was the story of my life. Like,
Were you always pretty outspoken as a kid?
yeah, I just had a lot of energy, I think, when I was a kid, you know? And then I think that got beat out of me, but whatever. That's another podcast. What are you talking about?
That's another podcast.
Yeah.
What shall we talk about? It's like artist decoded.
Hey everyone, how's it going? This is your host Yoshino, and you're listening to episode 103 with cinematographer Rina Yang, co-hosted by filmmaker Saman Kesh.
What'd you think about this episode?
But I mean, Rina is such a she's an amazing cinematographer.
I mean, everything she touches is just so good. Mm-hmm. She adds just this extra layer.
I love the Vince Staples music video she did too.
That was great too. This was a really good episode where we dived a lot into, thought process of being creative and overstimulation of the mind, and you brought up an interesting point about
timing and of creatives.
Yeah, this we got a little bit of the sound design thing going on again. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and hope you enjoy.
I think everyone will. It's a good episode. So
self-esteem increased. Let's go.
I wouldn't say like it was like a professional training, but my mom was really into making us do a lot of things like growing up, like trying things out, I guess. So I did like still life and portrait painting, piano, jazz, dance, classical ballet. What else did we do? Like my mom was really into dancing. Like she wanted to be like classical ballet teacher, and she did teach a little bit. Then I didn't like ballet or other things because the teachers were really scary. Like they would tell us that we're doing things wrong and throw the chair at us or something.
Wow.
Do you think they were especially scary in Japan?
Yeah, I think so. Because like I think back in the days, like hitting is alright or something. They'll hit your bum. But I think I'm grateful that I've gone through that process, because I think I've learned how to deal with pressure and stage fright, because I was doing that from like 3 until 15. So you have to do this show, do fucking choreography, whatever, that you practice for the last couple of months and show it to the people, and then you have to deal with the pressure on stage and stuff. But then I preferred painting more because teachers were nice and they would give me ice cream as well when I go. That's when I was younger, but as I grew up, there was a lot more creative freedom. They would just like, hey, use whatever color you want, just like draw whatever you're interested in. And and I was also surrounded by adults who are doing oil paintings, and I was doing watercolor. They would kind of give me feedback and tell me like what you're good at, kind of thing.
Yeah, but painting must have been a pretty important thing for you to. I mean, because you put in your bio.
Yeah, I guess, because I think I started from painting, and then I kind of, I used to kind of draw like really shit manga as well. Like, what is it called in Japanese? I can't remember, like yonkoma or something. Like, you have 4 frames to tell story. Or was it 3? I can't remember. So it's kind of like a little thing in a newspaper. Yeah, comic strip. Yeah. I used to do that, or like do like a stop motion animation by myself, and I was pretty like nerdy little kid.
You were definitely like all over the place. Like what like was that just because you were interested in all of them, or do you think your mom sort of like inspire you to just try a bunch of things out? Or?
Yeah, I think both. Like, I guess my mom inspired me or like forced me to do a lot of things. And then
/inspired.
Yeah,
it's a blurry ground. We'll give her the benefit of the doubt.
But then like my siblings, my brother and sister, they weren't interested in like visual stuff. They were interested in other things, but I was very much interested in like, recording everything. Like,
what do you mean? What'd you record?
I think I bought this like video camera when I was 14 or 15 with my first savings. I spent like £1,000 on this video camera. I was just like during the class I would film like teacher saying things and like zooming in to him, and then like then like I would film my friends sleeping, and then I just like go home like watch it or like edit some weird clip.
So that was probably all, like, that action alone is probably really irregular, right? To walk into a classroom with a camera?
They kind of accepted that I always had a camera. And I was always recording. That was
like your alter ego.
Have you ever seen Surveillance Cameraman?
No. What is it?
It's this guy, I think he's in Seattle. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
But he basically just goes up to people, because he's just a stranger, and he goes into classrooms, and he'll go in and like just start recording people, and then the teacher will be like, this is a classroom, sir, you can't be recording.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, what? I'm not doing anything. Yeah. Yours sounds sweeter. His seems more.
This is a bit like creepy.
He's kind of being like a little bit of a dick or a weirdo.
Yeah.
The social experiment, I think, is that, you know, people record on their phone all the time, and then but it's like this guy's kind of like in your face.
That's weird.
It's like, what? I'm just strange.
I love social experimenters. People who
I love social experiments.
I think that's why Japan is such a great, like, that's why they have so many shows where, like, people are surprised, or like they'll play pranks on them, because I think, like, socially they have there's such a rigid sort of process that when you break that, suddenly it's so fun to watch those people be like, oh my God, and freak out.
Well, I think Japan takes it too far in certain cases.
Of course, but I think, I'm curious if they have to. I'm curious if just to get a reaction, they got to take it that far.
I don't know. What's your take on that? Living in Japan and growing up in Japan.
I don't know. I'm diluted now, because I moved, you know, from Japan 10, 11 years ago. But growing up, I don't know. Comedy is like massive part of entertainment in Japan. So yeah. So I always felt like growing up, you know, I had to be like the same, or like, you know, you have to think the same. If you're different, you're in trouble. And I was different, so I was in trouble a lot of the time. So teachers were very confused why I was kind of like a rebel, but like tame, no violence. But I think they didn't like me, because even if I didn't show up to the class, I had really good grades. So I was like, fuck you.
So part of it's like half of it was you weren't following rules, half of it's like they're jealous or something.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, because I found like education is like, I don't know, I didn't find that it would be useful in real life. You were obliged to learn all these subjects that you weren't even interested in. But I guess looking back, it's important. But to be honest, I don't remember anything that I learned in school. You know?
As you're born, you're literally put into the schools, like, age 4 or 5, and they're teaching you, what you don't know is they're teaching you things that might not be useful for you. Yeah. And so I think it was so valuable that you were fucking around with all these different things, so you could kind of see which ones you do fall into.
Yeah, it was almost like propaganda in Japan, how they teach you China's bad, North Korea's bad, that kind of thing. I didn't really go into details. Like, you know, you were told that is the right answer, like tests and exams, you know.
But they don't tell you why.
Yeah, they don't really tell you why. It's like then once you get outside of the world, like Japan, learn other, you know, perspectives, and I'm like, oh well, that's like something they didn't teach me.
But I think it's the same way in America too. Maybe it's not as overt in certain ways, but for instance, when I went to Vietnam, and then there's the Vietnam War Museum. I mean, it was such a different perspective than what you're taught in American schools. Yeah. So in that way, it's similar in terms of propaganda. That
we sort of hide behind when political correctness sort of started happening. People started hiding behind that. So our racism kind of happened very like low key, or like our ignorance, whatever you want to call it. I feel like in other countries, my brother would say the same thing. In Iran, they would do the same thing. They would kind of talk about, hey, these are the countries, but then they'd give sort of a kind of either opinions, or this is why we're the best, or it's kind of interesting. Did you grow up in Tokyo, or where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in a place called Utsunomiya, which is like an hour and a half away from Tokyo. It's pretty countryside. It's a city, but I would call it countryside. You know, there's like cows and stuff. So
it's like rural city.
Did you have a cow?
I didn't have cow, but there were like 2 farms on the way back from school, so I'd like visit them. I would feed them, and they always get told off by the farmer, like, it's not a feeding time. I was like, oh hi. You know? Or like I would like sneak into this like apple farm and then like steal some apples on the way home.
Just to steal apples?
It's just like adventure.
What was that? So we were talking like high school age now, right?
Yeah, high school age, and then I decided that the fuck Japan, not like that, but you know, I just felt really suffocated there, so I decided to go to London for like 6 months, and then ended up staying there for 10 years.
Packing, unpacking, packing, unpacking.
Unpacking.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
Year passed by. Then I was like, oh, how do I stay in London now? I was like, oh shit, I need a visa. Then I saw this ad for film school saying like, hey, you can get a BA in 2 years instead of 4 years. And I thought that sounds like a perfect plan. Because I liked visuals, I guess, but it wasn't because like I was so passionate to become a filmmaker or something. And I went to the interview and I somehow got in and I studied in and I kind of... It just felt like everything came together then, like, drawing things, creating things, or, kind of collaborating with people and dealing with pressure, everything I guess I went through during my childhood growing up. It's like, oh yeah, it feels kind of right.
It felt kind of playful or something.
Yeah, playful. And then started working as a camera assistant for some reason, and then started like working as a lighting technician. And somehow started DPing, and then I was like, I don't know how this happened, and somehow got signed by agents, and then, now I'm in America, and it's like, I have no idea how this happened. It's really weird. Yeah.
If you were to retroactively time travel back to like
Yeah.
just when you got to London,
Yeah.
did you find that you were very agile? Like you knew exactly like, oh, I'm going to just do this now, I guess. Or do you just kind of go with the flow?
I think actually looking back, like I was really super motivated. I would always have like I don't know, like 3-year plan or something, and like pyramids where I want to be in 3 years or something like that. I kept like growing up, I kept saying like, oh, I don't want to have a normal life, which is like in my city would be like, you stay in the city you were born, get married by 23, have family and settle, and I don't know, a really stable life. I just want a bit more thrill.
Rolling!
Back to the pyramid.
Yeah.
Like, did you make a pyramid for like film? Like where you are now? You at the top of the pyramid?
I don't think I made a pyramid for film. It was more like a achievement in life. I want to be like, I can't remember. I must look back at this pyramid because I have it in my desk in the office. Yeah, but yeah, basically I was very motivated and I always had goals that I wanted to hit. Say like I wanted to work with that kind of directors or production companies, but then I feel like I haven't set like motivational goals like for, I don't know, like since like for like 2 years or so now. So I guess when I became really busy as a DOP, trying to deal with like more like daily requests and trying to make the right decision, and that's just like doing that every day is like overwhelming.
Yeah, it can be scary, huh?
So it's like I shouldn't say that I don't have time to set the goals, because I think you can find time anyway if you try. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll set my goals after this podcast.
Or during the podcast.
Yeah, during the podcast.
Here, let's get her journal.
Well, the thing is, I'm really happy right now. It's like I often don't know where I'm going next week on Friday. Like for example, like today I just found out I'm going to Portugal, and I thought I was going to go somewhere else, but it's very kind of unstable. But
Do you like that?
I like it because that is actually one of the goals I set when I was younger. I wanted to have like exciting and unpredictable life.
Adventure. That's why you stole an apple.
That's it.
That's why you fucking stole an apple.
Yeah, I've always loved adventures, I guess, or thrill. I think this lifestyle definitely isn't. It's just it is very lonely what I'm doing. I'm often like by myself in a lot of places.
Does that bother you?
I kind of go like on and off. Like this is good. Oh, this is shit.
I can't wait to be home.
It's like because directors and producers are always like really busy prepping and PPMs and.
No, we're equally lonely. We get lonely too. Yeah, I get fucking super lonely all the time. I think film in general requires a nomadic attitude.
Yeah.
You have to be kind of a nomad. Like for example, like as a director, it's like your project is this little family, and then when it's done, you have to start a new family. And so sometimes you get to like, if I work with Rina, it's like, yeah, great, I get to bring some family members back along. But for her, she's probably working with so many directors. So like, you're probably seeing new people all the time.
Yeah, that is lonely in that sense. But it's true, the filmmaking is such a lonely thing. So I think that's why there's like a tight little film community where we kind of support each other.
Yeah.
Like, you know, pat each other's backs, like, it's okay,
It's
you
okay,
know,
everything's gonna be
it's
okay.
everything's gonna be fine. You know, it doesn't matter if you don't win the pitches.
Can I actually read
kind
your
of thing.
post that you posted today? Or I think
Oh yeah, I think I wanted to talk about that.
Can I read it?
Yeah.
Like, I follow your Instagram a lot, and I see your
Okay,
stories,
yeah.
and I'm always like, this person is the most busiest person I've ever. Like, I'm always just like on an adventure with you. You're documenting essentially what happens with sort of just being really busy flying here than flying there. And so I think it can be kind of one of those things where when it's done, or when you have a little moment of pause, you're like, what just happened? It's like Hangover Part 5 or something.
That's
you know?
what I do in Christmas. Like, what the fuck happened this year? Like, I can't remember anything. That kind of thing.
It must be hard to keep relationships though too. I mean, in terms of like a romantic relationship.
Yeah, I've been with Patrick, my partner, for 10 years. And, you know, I'm running into 11 years now. So I think it was good because we're like old couple. It's just like FaceTime sometimes. It's fine. And I see each other like 3 days a week or something when I come back. So he understands the, you know, dilemma. But I can feel that he's very lonely when I'm away, and I feel really guilty.
I'm going to read this.
Yeah.
This is the post. Just
Yes.
so you know which one.
Okay. Yeah.
So it says, I cannot stop thinking, do people hire me because I'm a woman of color? We have to go through this phase for it to change, but whenever I get a job, this thought always haunts me in the back of my mind, thinking emoji. But also, I often think, if only they gave me a chance to prove myself, I could be as good as the boys who's shooting all the big cool things. But it's a catch-22. On that note, happy Monday. Raising hand emoji and heart.
Yeah, thanks for reading the emoji bit. That's really important.
So just, it is.
I don't
You
like
could
to be
narrate
too,
the emoji
yeah,
movie.
because I don't like to be too serious. So you know,
You know, it's good. You're trying to cancel out the seriousness.
Yeah.
The photo is her as a portrait of her that she took in a mirror in like.
It was an empty room on location where I just walked in.
She took a photo of herself, and it's beautiful, but it looks like a little sad, a little melancholy.
I like a lot of melancholy points.
I like how grainy it is too.
Yeah.
I love underexposed images.
Yeah, me too.
All right,
Me
so
too.
there's a little bit of the I don't know if this is like attributable to what you were saying earlier, where you sometimes feel a little lonely or isolated or something like
Yeah.
that. There's like a little bit of that, but associated to this idea of you know, you're a woman, you're
Yeah.
not the majority type DP,
Yeah.
and you're working and you're great and everything you do is awesome. So like there's this dilemma in your head. Talk about that a little bit.
I wonder if you'll hire me again.
Well, like I feel like this. I mean, you know, feminism and all these movements been around for, you know, a very long time, but somehow. I get a lot of work inquiries, like specifically looking for women, and if I'm also non-white, then that's extra point for them. You know, it's great that I get opportunities, and we need opportunities to prove ourselves, so that's great. But it feels wrong at the same time. You know, I know that we need to talk about it in order to move on and, you know, put the label first, so we recognize that we exist and you can take it off and we'll all be the same, you know, touch wood. But it's just like, yeah, it's a big subject.
Well,
I don't know how to
I
say.
think I would say that it's not just in your bubble. I think it's everywhere. I think I'm Iranian. I was born in Iran. I came when I was 2.
Yeah.
I'm pretty American, but like very recently, I'm a lot more aware of my race, and I feel a lot more aware of a lot of the things that I grew up around, which was a lot of white people when I grew up, did affect me in how I see myself.
Yeah.
And I think that in a way, you said something in your post that I found really amazing, which was, you know, like in a way, like you're like, you know, this kind of has to happen, but at the same time, there is a tragedy. I think there are people who are kind of exploiting a little bit of like, oh, women are cool right now, so let's focus on women. But at the same time, it's like it's not a bad thing to focus on. We could use more women, so it is gray. And I think that at the end of the day, if the goal is for equality and proper sort of, it's necessary to me. But
I personally can't take any compliments like you know, when people say like, oh, your work looks great, and I'm thinking like, well, are you actually thinking, do
why
you
you
want
think
some?
someone's saying that because you're a woman?
I don't know. No, it's like, no.
Did it bother you when I said that today?
You know, it's my fault. It's nothing. Someone saying like, yeah, I like your work, and then I think like I'm just maybe like cynical, but I can't stop thinking that if I wasn't a woman or like, you know, non-white right now, maybe I wouldn't be as successful as I am. It was good because, you know, it's so competitive and you do need to stand out. So maybe it helped. I hope that it helped because I see the world differently. But I just can't stop thinking like, oh yeah, I don't think I'll be as successful as I am if there was no push to hire more women. You know.
What I've noticed about interviewing a bunch of artists at this point is that certain people's work it just hits at particular times. You know, people that have found success have hit because, you know, maybe like figurative painting is like really in for like 5 years or something, and then this particular artist like gained popularity because of that. But I think
it's like Patrick Nagel, everyone like loves now because it's like he was like the 80s sort of like dentist painting guy. You just have like a figure of a woman like vector style.
But if Patrick Nagel came out right now, people would not like Patrick Nagel's work. But does that take away from his genius?
I think that's really interesting. That is actually so true. That timing is important for everything. Like, you know, just, you know, winning the job is timing too, and, you know, being recognized is timing as well. And I remember like my first agent told me it's the right time for you to be signed. I didn't get it back then, but I think timing is very important for a lot of things to be successful. You know, if the time's not right, it's just, you know.
Well, I mean, you look at how every day is a something day. Today was, you know, International Dance Day, so I posted something that was international. You know, like I think we live off of timing. Everything is timing based. Yeah, you're right. Jobs are worded that way.
Yeah.
Something that I've heard also people say is permission to use. So like you know, so for you, it's like because you're a woman, because you're of color, there might be more of a permission to use than some of the other people, the other reels that are presented. You know, I mean, reality is that it's just like that's the trend. So,
but I feel like some men are more female than me, you know. So I think it's not like male and female gaze or, you know, like women having more interesting things. It's just like individuality or. You know, identity rather than sexuality or something, you know. So
I do think though that, like, I mean, my prediction is like in 1,000 years, there's no use for gender. Like we're all going to be our own identity things. Like we won't even,
brilliant.
You know. And so I think that's this whole transitional era that feels just almost like all this stuff's happening and changing. Everything is so up in the air. But I think a lot of that, these are little micro bubbles of like things that will become bigger deals later.
Then it's this bigger subject. For thousands of years, we always had this like man and woman and all these ideas of gender and the role you play in family, and it's all kind of dissolving into one, or we don't want to be labeled as anything. And
well, it's concepts. I mean, they've proven that like the first 5 years of your life, whatever you've been taught is going to just kind of stick with you. It's going to be hard to get rid of that. So I think if there's a heavy gender identity push, just the idea of giving a woman pink and giving a boy blue, like that to me, I'm like offended by that sort of. Like I used to wear pink sandals and I get made fun of, and now like that I have the confidence, I'm wearing pink again. You know, so I think we're sort of the first steps into this transitional era, but all we can do is just keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's definitely a positive change and positive movement. You know, I just feel very confused all the time. That's all.
Do you think you also like when you have all this time alone? So do you like is it easy for those thoughts to just come in your head?
Yeah, that's another thing about traveling alone. You think about shitloads of things every day because, you know, you're just like walking around, or, you know, going to galleries by yourself, or, you know, you meet all these new people and you're alone drinking by yourself at the hotel bar.
It's like you almost have this contrast. You're like either really busy or you're like on the way to being something that's on your way somewhere, and you have a lot of time to think to yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's everything. I mean, when I shot the Super Bowl spot, it was like that too. Every day, and then whenever there was a moment to just sit and think, you'd be like, this is weird. What is this? And it would kind of feel like kind of the worst moment usually for me, because I tended to be so heavily reliant on work.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
me
quiet
too,
times. I think quiet times, I'm learning now as I'm transitioning into film, is like that's life. Like you kind of have to get used to that, because it's like you can't work forever.
I think I'm
you know?
scared of like silence. But then it's true when it comes to work. Maybe I feel like I keep busy, so I don't like listen to my own thoughts or something, doubting myself or something like that, you know.
I'm not sure if I'm good enough.
I mean, that's a recurring thing we always talk with people about, is sort of people being so addicted to stimulation that consuming and being busy all the time, so that when we actually have a moment of peace or quiet, it's like kind of scary.
I think we're all scared of kind of disappearing. Like, if you keep
becoming irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're working, someone needs you. Say your director needs you, project needs you, and I guess you feel like you're worth something. But then I guess when you're not working, you feel like, am I going to disappear now? People are going to forget about me. I'm going to become irrelevant if I take 2 weeks off.
If you go make a movie, are people going to want?
Yeah, that's my constant dilemma, because commercial world is so fast. There's a trend on trendy DP, like every couple of months, I guess, or the people coming up. And if you disappear for 3 or 4 months doing a movie, it will take a little while for you to get back up to speed, I guess. But at the same time, you're scared, like, oh, people are going to forget about me.
That's very common. I mean, I remember talking with this editor that I'd worked with, and I remember his biggest fear when he'd go away and edit a feature was that he couldn't manage his sort of clientele. He wanted all these agencies and people to work with him, and he was always afraid that when he would go and make a movie, and he said for 10 years that bothered him, so he kept doing commercials, and then it was too late. Not only did people not care about him commercially, but then when he tried to go make movies, that didn't work, and then he sort of felt like he kind of was riding a wave until it was gone, but he didn't know the wave was gone himself.
But then,
I was gonna say, I think at the end of the day, you kind of have to evaluate yourself and understand what you want to do in general. Because if it's calling you to make a film, and a particular feature is calling you, then maybe that's the right direction. And then, I mean, you can't control how people are going to view your work, or if you feel compelled to do something, you kind of have to stand by it.
I think that it's funny because just being on the same side of film is a kind of a tough business, because you do kind of have to care about what people think of you. You do have to care about if you're loved or not. And so I think a lot of people who are really good at film, there's this need to kind of be loved or liked or needed. It's just that's the only way that you would stick around to do something like that. I think, and it's like, why do you think people have kids? I feel like I think people have kids because they love the idea of have something to go back to or something that needs them. Why people have dogs the same way.
Yeah, having kids is something like I kind of view as almost like selfish act in some way, because I thought about this because I'm 31 and people ask me, do you want to have kids? I don't know, but I would have kids so I won't be lonely when I'm older.
I mean, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, you do have to be selfish, and you have to evaluate, like, what do I truly want, and hopefully people will call you back, but you can't control that either. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I think you are kind of not your job.
But then, like, Yoshini, you were saying, like, you need to know what you want to do, but we most of the time we don't know what we want to do.
But I don't think he means I don't think you mean thinking about it. I think you mean, like, if you're compelled to do something, you go do it.
Oh, so more
right?
like instinct and gut feeling rather than logical.
Yeah,
that's true. Like, I don't really have, like, this is what I want to do. But,
I think your story is dripping in that. I think you're very much like I don't know how premeditative you are, you feel you are, but like there's a very instinctual element to your being that I think is like just keep listening to that instinct. Don't listen to the fucking mind going.
Am I going to disappear now? People are going to forget about me. I'm going to become irrelevant. Yeah, that's I think the important thing about, like, when it comes to anything, but I guess your instinct and gut feeling is like the strongest.
Yeah, it's the most concrete. Nothing is permanent. We all die. We all become stardust. Yeah. But I think that the most
we become stardust.
Oh, it's stardust. I love that. Okay, that's great. I feel more positive.
You will be stardust now. Eventually when the planet explodes and everything. But
can I be like the purified water instead of stardust when I die?
Okay. Yes, you purified water. Yeah.
I want to be a tetrahedron.
Okay. There you go. But I do think that's the most solid part of us is I think that instinct, and that's hard for people because people are like, what do you mean? That's technically just part of your brain, bro. And I'm like, I don't know the science behind it, but what I do know is that in just however many hours I've shot, I've worked with creative people who just feel and go and do that stuff, always end up happier and feeling more fulfilled.
I think it goes back to your thing about instinct, because once I figured out, what I realized is, throughout my life, I've always went through my instincts, and I've been pretty happy about my decisions. But the times when I didn't go with my instinct and I was logically thinking because of some sort of decision-making pattern or that's when I got myself in trouble always in life, or I made a decision based off of trying to talk myself out of the instinct.
I would agree with that. I would say that because I had ADHD, so I was a very hyper kid. I was a kid. I was probably the kid you didn't want to hang out with because I talked a lot. And I think that I always had this view of normal person. And for I would say even till now, like I still think sometimes of myself like I can't feel normal, like no matter, even if like I am doing something that I feel like most people will do. What is changed?
No one's normal, right?
Exactly.
We're just so
and it's hard. It's hard to do that because everyone else is telling you maybe that's not the right thing to do.
Oh, that's what happens in school. You know, you gotta be like normal or what teachers expect you to be. But I mean, being an adult is great because you can just be whoever you want. Ish, so I guess no one's normal. You know, us real.
If there is,
what is normal though?
Yeah, what is normal?
Yeah,
because
nothing's normal.
Yeah, no, because I even think of
life on this planet is not normal. The genes that sort of made human beings are only here because of like 6 mass extinctions prior to like dinosaurs showing up, and then when dinosaurs died, that let us evolve into what we are. So it's like we are not normal. So I agree. I think that's it's a label, but I feel like that's something. Those labels are, I think, to me, damage people.
Yeah. Politics separate people.
Oh, that's
but
interesting. Yeah.
Whether you have good intention or not, it just separates people, and I don't really like that.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to talk a little bit like specifically about your work, though.
Okay.
I've seen kind of all the different things you can do. I think you can do everything, but something that I have noticed is there's a moodiness to your work. I think that's what drew me to your reel when we first interacted.
There's a
years
surreal
ago.
quality to your work.
Yeah,
and maybe things that you're interested in.
I'm really into kind of surreal things. Not into, but I just like I daydream a lot, and I just think about like.
But just even the way that things are photographed, not even just the subjects, like it's very impressionistic. It's not worried about looking real. It's more worried about, does this feel right? You know?
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't think I mean, you know, I'm sure you know, but when you're making something or taking pictures, you don't really think about anything, no? So you just point the lens or something and you think like, oh, I like this image. And
But a lot of people aren't trained to do that. A lot of people are trained to be like, why is this light on? What's the motivation for this? And
I hate that question. Like I have to like.
So I hate art schools.
Yeah, like explain your instincts and explain your creative decision.
Yeah.
This is like the hardest thing for me.
Yeah.
I always say because it feels right. Then that's like one of the reasons why I never want to be a director is I just can't explain my feelings or like instincts like in verbally. You know, I have these images in my head and I'm going to show it to you on the day. That's like, that is not good enough.
look at Instagram. It's like everyone has a photo now. It's so popular to have a description, a paragraph of why you're posting that.
Yeah.
So like your paragraph almost adds substance to whatever you're posting.
I almost feel silly putting a caption next to a photo.
It's
I was
like
the same way.
when you go to galleries and sometimes I read the description or artist intention, but what I tend to do is just kind of walk in and look at the art really quickly and then like go and read the description. So like, oh, I see, kind of thing, you know. And it sometimes adds, you know, depth to the artwork you just saw, I guess, but sometimes it does the opposite.
It's kind of a gamble. Separate the art from the artist. A lot of people don't believe that, but I'm a big believer of that. I think that, you know, it's a bubble in time and then it belongs to the world after it's done.
I think that's totally true. I think the most important process of creating art is the process. Like, you know, you go through this agony, but it's interesting kind of when you watch something you made like 2 years ago and then it doesn't feel like you made it. The person 2 years ago made it. so
Yeah, my gripe with art schools is that, I don't know, there's just like certain things are just over intellectualized sometimes.
Oh,
and then I'll look
definitely,
at some random master student's artwork and there's this crazy long description of like why they do things and this and that and the whole thing. And I'm looking at the piece and I'm like, yeah, I really didn't get that from the piece, but I'm not going to say that to you.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's like, was that really your intent for creating this work, or was that you just trying to over-intellectualize it because
But
Well, I
through
think that's the difference
critiques,
between art
you
and
know?
entertainment, though. You know, like there's a point where I go, clearly, my job is to do these kinds of emotions for you. Cool. But there's a certain point where, even for me, like I'll say all these extra things, then I realize the audience didn't actually catch some of those things, and then I've learned, like over time, oh, there's going to be things that are just for me. You know,
it's more like I don't like something like overly kind of intellectualized work, or something that feels too controlled, or you can feel it when you watch something like that. And I like watching something a bit more like, I don't know, it's just over like vibes or feelings, or like just really vague ideas, rather than this is the opinion, or like this is the structure, and you must follow my emotions.
That is interesting, and that's a very hard muscle to fight, because even on films, like I'm like that too. I'm always like, this is how I should shoot it, but then it's like, oh man, I have 5 characters, they're clones, I have to duplicate them, I have to shoot it like this, and so there's a rigidity that clashes with the sort of the vibes, the instincts, and like, just anybody that's doing entertainment as art and business. I think that's a big thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think you can't be just too arty.
You're selling cereal, bro.
Yeah,
Why
that's it.
Your cereal just needs to be sharp. Shut up.
Yeah, it
We
needs
pay
to
you a lot
be
of money.
appropriate to the creative. Definitely.
I think the interesting thing with your work is that there's a really good balance, at least the way that you present on your website, of art and commerce.
Yeah. Like you are drawn to something when you get sent something and you're like, I don't feel connected to this. Or, you're immediately drawn to it, or, you're not sure about it in the beginning, but then, you talk to the director and they're like, oh, I'm really drawn to this kind of thing. It's again, the kind of instinct and picking projects. What you're drawn to, comes down to like who you are. It's quite interesting. I tend to be more drawn to like identity or race, or something a bit more universal feeling for everyone. So I'm not really into like action movies or like,
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, I guess if someone asked me to do Star Wars, I'll probably do it. It's not my true calling. I don't mind sci-fi, but like one foot on the ground, but there's something slightly off kind of stories I like, because I don't go to cinema to see like, I don't know, like social realism or something, and that's too depressing, I do sometimes, like Ken Loach or something, and he makes...
What's a movie lately that you've been thinking about?
Well, I liked Arrival. I liked The Killing of Sacred Deer. What else? And then I like something like Boyhood or something, because I'm like watching someone's life, from when they're a kid to growing up, and
it's funny. Those are all 3 very different films.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't really have like a particular like I love these kind of films. It's like, it connects with you at a certain point because you're going through certain things, I guess. Like Timing. That film was released in certain time of year when you're feeling certain things, I guess, and you watch something and you feel really connected.
It becomes nostalgic at that time period.
Yeah, exactly. And
depending on your mood.
Yeah,
I've always kind of split people up into major minor, major minor keys. Like there's either people who kind of really just need juice from a movie, like life's good. I need something that shows me life's good, bro. Okay? And then there are people who are minors, which I am, which is like I kind of like things a little bit on a sad note. Even if it's a positive ending, there's just something, sad.
But I think some of the best films know how to navigate both of those.
Well, movies that truly do have one or the other, they're either super depressing and you don't like them, or they're fucking like, everything's great.
Yeah.
Freeze frame.
I mean, like, I don't like to be serious or funny all the time, because that's not who I am. I don't, maybe that's why I like some dark, like, satire films like Yorgos Lanthimos make, like The Lobster, and, they're going through some crazy surreal situations, but, I just don't like watching too, like, serious movies, about it.
But I think that's showing up, though.
Yeah.
I think a lot of really good shows, if you look at what people like in TV, they all kind of have humor. Like, to me, I think that all genres can do well with comedy inside of it.
Yeah.
And the reason Coen Brothers are so addicting, and the reason Tarantino movies sort of just kind of keep hanging out and stand the test of time is, I think, because they merge. Like, they should be fucked up situations like Fargo, but it's also kind of hysterical. That, I think, is really fascinating, and I think you're going to see more of that.
I think that's why Get Out was such a successful movie.
Oh yeah, because it just took 2 of those and just went boom. Yes, did you like that movie?
I did. I didn't like the cinematography. I'm sorry.
I would agree
whoever
with that.
shot it,
I would
but
agree with that. I would
I
agree
didn't
with that.
like the lighting and things.
That was like the one point I docked.
And
Was
the
it just
lensing.
the movie was way better than the way it looked.
Yeah, I mean, but story and actors were good, so it was
That's all most people
successful.
care about anyways. That's
Yeah,
probably Jordan
exactly.
Peele's defense. He's like, bro,
Yeah.
everyone fucking loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It
but that's
is-
timing too.
That's another timing thing
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
yeah,
That movie's a
Moonlight's
timing
a timing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Get Out is a timing
Oh,
thing.
definitely.
Black Panther is a timing thing.
definitely, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, they're all great movies.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's
I'm not
definitely-
100% convinced though. If you just knowing how long movies take, Get Out and Moonlight, I don't think we're piggybacking off of any movement. Black Panther definitely was, but that's because it's Marvel. They
Well,
have
it's
the
more
money.
mainstream,
They have the
too.
money
Yeah.
to push
It is
through.
mainstream.
You know what? I think what I feel is going to come out over the next few years is like the reality mixed with VR. And I've seen a few things that's kind of based on real life characters going to this virtual reality world, and I've received I've seen few treatments and scripts. Like, it's interesting to see like all these people who are not connected actually kind of are interested in the same kind of subject, or the similar approach. Like all this.
VR is a very big trend.
Yeah.
I just the research that I've done on it, I'm not an expert in it, but it's just it is a very in thing. But you're right. Like VR is the ultimate escape. It's the ultimate form of like, I'm going to create whatever world I want, or I'm going to go into whatever world I want, which is great. But it's like, we're already kind of doing a great job of escaping right now. You know what I mean? All we do is look at our phones and not enjoy the moment or the breeze or whatever. And like, I personally think augmented reality is what people are going to be obsessed with, where you kind of put contacts in and basically everything is whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
Like your biometrics will be right here. So how
Yeah.
old you are, if I forgot to read or like watch a certain thing, it'll show right here while you're talking. That kind of stuff is probably what will actually be.
Yeah, I mean, I
What will
guess
be
that could
adopted.
happen, but I don't want to live in that world.
Hopefully you'll
I'll be
just,
dead by then.
I don't know. It'll
I
probably
don't know,
be
might
it'll be sooner
might
than
be in the
that.
next 10 years. Who knows?
I'm like, social media, I feel is too much already. So like, if this like,
No, this is just growing. This is just
if
growing.
this AR thing comes in,
I think going back to, if I can kind of transport back to when you were growing up, like, did you have a lot of friends growing up?
I did. Yeah, I wasn't like a lonely kid or anything. I just hung out with neighborhood kids.
But I mean, like, do you have a best friend that you've been with forever?
I didn't really have good relationship with friends, I guess, because they thought I was a bit weird. I wasn't like, normal girl. And then, I also got bullied growing up because I have like Korean background. And although I'm very much Japanese, I don't even speak Korean, but living in my little city, if they find out that you're a little bit different, like foreign or something, then they'll bully you. But I'm not one of those kids like who hide in the corner and cry.
Would people be able to tell
Well,
you're half Korean?
no, I am fully Korean, like third generation. But my
okay.
parents and grandparents were born in Japan.
Do
Well,
people say that they can recognize, though, that you're not Japanese?
no, it's not recognized. It's like the rumor spreads really quickly
Yeah.
in a small world, town, and then they find out that you're not really Japanese, and people bully you. But then, I was just kind of like push back and say, so what?
But like,
Like
even when you came to
something
London, how
else.
was it? Was it the same thing, or was it totally different once you came to London?
It felt liberating because everyone was different and they were all speaking different languages on the bus, and I felt like I was okay to be there, and nobody's gonna bully me. But even then, I still couldn't kind of fit in because I didn't really speak English back then, and I feel like I have friends now in London after 11 years of living there. I think maybe like in like year 5 or 6, I feel like I have friends.
Having friends, wow.
Yeah, it's great to have friends.
Well, the reason I was sort of tracing it is because
Yeah.
I always had a best friend label, but like I always found it as I was getting older, there was always like new friends that were more relevant to my life. This person would be relevant, and then when I went to college, these people would be relevant, and that's kind of how I think my work is. Like when I take a job, I'm like, these people are my friends, and then they kind of go away, and they're still my friends even though
Yeah.
they're further away. But I sort of have realized that I just myself am naturally kind of nomadic.
You're constantly growing.
By my that's another
Sometimes
thing
you
too.
grow out of relationships.
Yeah, I
too.
mean,
Absolutely.
friends come and
Friendships.
go. And there's some friends that, I like them personally, but I find that we're kind of trying too hard to stay friends. Well, there are a few, like, my friends from back home, I can't be, I don't...
In London.
In Japan, I can't hang out with them in like a social level because we have so little in common to talk about. What we could talk about is maybe like when we're in school, when we're 12 or something, So,
I mean, I have a couple of friends I know from high school, and I just can't relate to them
Yeah.
at all anymore.
It's
You
hard
know?
to accept that because I like her or I like these friends, or when I go back and see them, it's nice, but you know that you can't be friends anymore. You know, like just thinking about like a lot of directors I worked with when I was like really like starting out. You know, I can't shoot for them anymore because, you know, you've moved on from certain things and, you know, although you still love them, you know, it's just like...
It's sad because they're your friends, but for some reason, professionally, when you decide this isn't the right fit anymore, I've outgrown a relationship or situation, it's sad that it can bleed into your personal friendship.
Yeah.
And it happens.
Yeah, you hope that you grow together, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, you know. So I think friends come and go depending on, you know, what you're going through.
You know, it's just always about staying in the moment, you know. But I think people are always like the past. I mean, look at our obsession with nostalgia right now. You know, I'm guilty of it. Maybe we're scared of augmented reality.
Yeah.
I'm scared of artificial intelligence taking over.
Yeah, that's your thing. Yeah, that's your thing.
We're scared of a lot of things, guys.
Yeah, I'm not scared. I actually am not scared of like machines. I think machines, when they get that smart, I think that AI will just be like, these guys are like wasting their lives and energy, and they're just going to peace out, you know? I just think that the fear I have is just the constant reinforcement of just being busy and having stimulation all the time, you know? Not like people are going to have a lot of mental nightmares, waking nightmares, because they don't know how to live in between being busy. And so pretty soon you're going to have people who just like by sitting there are just going to go insane, because naturally we as humans weren't designed to do that. We're designed to sit and eat like a raw fish and like look at something and daydream and be by ourselves. And now we're like, you know what I mean? It's like it's also why you get all these people shooting people in Vegas and crazy shit like that. You're getting some weird social resistance. So it's
Maybe my goal, going back to what we talked about here, is to learn how to chill. Like, and not worry about it. About the fact that
do you
you're
consider
chilling.
yourself a worrier?
I worry like about everything. Like I think I got better now, but when I was younger, I was like really bad at just worrying everything. Like I remember when I was like 7, I was like crying in my bedroom by myself, worrying that the world's gonna end.
What's the most immediate worry that you keep thinking about?
Where the fuck am I going? You know, what is happening to me right now? Kind of thing. You know, I'm just keep shooting, but am I making the right decision? You know, and people keep asking me when the fuck I'm going to shoot a feature, and I just want to feel happy. It's like I think I worry because based on the decisions I make, I might become unhappy or like frustrated, you know, so maybe I'm more worried about the outcome rather than things I'm actually doing.
I mean, if I have a vote, I vote for the worry about what's happening now.
Yes.
You know. When were you born, by the way?
86, I'm 31.
86.
We're all 86ers.
Oh, no way.
That's so cool. High five. Group five.
80s babies. 80s. We're Generation Y, and then what's the new one?
No, we're not Generation Y. We're
Is
still,
X?
we're still millennials. Yeah, I'm obsessed with like when people are born. Like, does that predetermine their success in the times they live in? And 86 is sadly a not very successful year.
Oh no.
It's 85 to 87 is a
Yeah.
really like is predicted to be like a very bad, very like people aren't motivated. They're confused. They make wrong decisions. A lot more mental health issues.
Maybe that's why I feel constantly confused.
That
That explains.
Blame it on your year.
That's what I do.
Now I'm gonna constantly think that maybe because I'm born in 86 or something.
No. But I mean, I find that when I've only done like 4 of these now with Yoshino, but like wherever you start, somehow things kind of go back to that. Everything's kind of a little bit of a circle, like where you start. There's a
It all comes full circle.
Yeah, there's a very energetic. It's so interesting because even though I think you are maybe externally quiet, there's so much fire, there's so much energy, there's so much personality that's brewing inside you.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I think about a lot of things. But I'm not good at verbalizing things.
You don't need to.
So
Who cares?
yeah, that's kind of
You don't need to unless you're on a podcast.
So I just like
I'll just use sound effects, dude.
project
I'll
my.
just put some sound effects underneath there.
That's what, I guess that's what my outlet is. Works like project what I'm thinking. You know, hopefully the right project will come along, and then you get to express those like.
What is your more? I guess what is your more immediate goal right now? Like, what stage of your career or life, just in general, do you feel you're at, and where do you want to go next?
I want to be really good at what I do. Growing up, like I was good at like passing exams and that, but I was always like number 2 or number 3. I could never be number 1. That was my thing growing up. Like I was kind of good at everything, like, and then not the master of one thing. Like why can I not be the best? But
When will that be satisfied?
I don't think it will ever happen. But I mean, little goals like, I want to be more recognized as a DOP in the commercial world maybe. And, it's like there's a lot of female DOPs shooting indie movies, but when it comes to studios or bigger projects, there's very little percentage. So I want to excel at that maybe and pave way for other female DOPs maybe. Like, hey, like it's okay to give us big campaigns. I want to be the best, but I don't know what best is.
I think it's like such a subjective thing. It's almost like you're building your own agenda in your mind. You're like, what is my goal, and what will satify that?
Yeah, I think as a creative, you'll never be satisfied. Is it? You just keep finding new things that you want. But then, like, it's just going off the road. But the thing about awards is most of the award is like bullshit, including the Academy Award. But then I recently realized that, award is not for me, but it's good to be recognized in order to inspire maybe the next generation. Because I love the fact that Rachel was nominated for an Oscar, and there's so many girl DOPs that like felt more like motivated, and I felt a bit more positive. So maybe like award in general is bullshit, but maybe it's good to attract attention and inspire the future, I suppose. Yeah.
But is that what makes you happy though? Is that what you want to go do?
I guess. Like I said earlier, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, because that's like a bonus. Yeah. We know that you'd like, of course, that stuff to happen, but it's more like the question's more just like what will satisfy that thing, and I don't know if winning something for other people will even do that. I was like, what is your own personal sort of?
Well, to stay happy.
All right, so I mean,
let's wrap it up.
Cool.
I think we've wrapped up pretty well.
Yeah, no, I think we're good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I usually ask the question at the end.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah, what advice would you give to people trying to pursue a creative career or a career within the arts?
Yeah, you've heard most of the advice by now, I guess. Like, find your own voice and follow your instincts, and which, it's all true. But amongst all this advice, you need to keep going. If you stop, then it's really hard to keep going when most of the time you are rejected. Just keep up what you're doing, and hopefully, maybe when the timing is right, people will recognize you. Or, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was beautiful.
It's great.
Beautiful.
Cut.
Beautiful. Appreciate you coming.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And thanks for coming out to the show too.
Oh yeah, pleasure. Oh yeah, it's a beautiful gallery. If you're ever in LA.
All right.
So partying here, bro.
Cool. We can. Right now.
Oh shit, that party was dope, yo.
Amazing party.
Wrapping up cables. My favorite part was Rina riding her bicycle back to Koreatown, not realizing how far it was.
All the way to Koreatown.
Koreatown, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, we hope you guys like this episode. We tried a couple new things with sound and music and editing. If there's stuff you don't like, please let us know. It's all for you. We love you.
We're here for you.
Mic drop it. Should we drop the mic? Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at @ArtistDecoded. If you want to follow us individually, that's at @the_Rina Yang, Yoshino Studios, and Saman_Kesh. @us, baby.